Welcome, mentors. First of all, before we get started on looking at the coaching and observation strategies, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the time and energy that you are giving to your new hires. I know that you are giving up your planning period. I know you're meeting before and after school. I know that you're helping them with lesson planning, and I just want to thank you for all of that time that you are giving to your new hires. So last time in our September videos, we looked at helping our new hires set their SMART goal, their annual goal. And so today what we're really going to try to do is we're going to look at the observation and data collection strategies so that we can hopefully help them collect the data that they need to accomplish their goal. So today our objective for the October meeting is to individually examine how to collect and share observation data. I'll show you a couple of different tools so that you can pick which tool and protocol you think will work best for you and your new hire, and think about ways to support your new teacher. The purpose, of course, is obviously to provide your mentee with anecdotal and observational data that will prompt them forward in becoming a reflective practitioner. And then that measurable component is that we can assist our new teacher in improving their practice by observing their classroom, and that you are able to offer at least 3 pieces of meaningful data. Hopefully you'll be able to provide way more than 3 pieces, but at a minimum 3 pieces of meaningful data. So the research shows at the New Teacher Center that new teachers want to have someone observe them, especially someone like you who is non-evaluative and who is seen as a peer. The research shows that they value being observed by another professional, and it's essential to professional growth. Again, we know that they are so busy, overwhelmed by so many different things, that they lack the ability to prioritize, and that they lack the time and energy really that it takes to be reflective. And so unless we carve out that time by air meetings with them and kind of almost force their hand, force them to take time to be reflective and think about what they're doing and what's working and what areas of growth they have, they're not going to take that independently without your assistance. And so that's why your meeting time with them is so critical for their growth. So last time in our September meeting, we looked at the article about the phases of first-year teachers' attitudes towards teaching. And of course, we know that the anticipation phase is long over. They have dipped quickly into survival, where they're working 70 hours a week, and they are overwhelmed with the demands of lesson planning and curriculum alignment and all of those things. And so now, they're sliding quickly into disillusionment. And so that's why, November is the disillusionment month. That's why in November we'll have our ice cream social, where really it is just a time for you and your new hire to spend some time together socially. We'll have a couple of talking points to help them be reflective during that time, but it will not be, a heavy agenda meeting. And then also the new hires will all get a goodie bag from the division during November. Again, just as kind of a quick pick-me-up, just to say thank you and that we're here for you, and if you need anything, let us know. But we just want to be aware of where our new teacher is right now, that they are in that survival and quickly falling into disillusionment. And so what does that mean they need from us? Does that mean they need us to transform into an advocate, or into more of a teacher, or into more of a facilitator? And that's going to really depend on your new hire and, kind of where they are and what their needs are. But you really want to think about what they need from you specifically. So what is kind of the components of that, survival and going into disillusionment? Where are they now? What are the components of the disillusionment phase? They're starting to question their competence. If they're a career switcher, they're thinking, why in the world did I leave my previous career? They're thinking, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know that I can be a classroom teacher. Their morale is dipping because they're spending, 70 plus hours a week on work and preparing for work. They're getting sick. A lot of new hires are getting ill during November. As they're moving into the second 9 weeks, they are having their formal evaluation by the principal, that first formal observation and their first post-conference. And so that causes stress. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up. Of course, we know those are coming up on November 5th for us. And so we have to be cognizant of where our new hire is before we can try to move them forward. The lesson plan evaluation tool, I know that I shared this with you last month, and I just would continue continue to invite you to look at that and think about the different components of the tool. Again, we talked about how that we're not going to use this to truly evaluate a lesson plan. It's not like check, 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 let's see how many boxes we have checked, but more so to say, okay, look, this is what the Department of Education has created when they're doing school improvement visits, and they've said that these first 4 things that are listed on the tool, they're the bare minimum. They have to be there, or else it doesn't matter what else is there. Remember, that stop sign is at the bottom of this page. And this, this document is still in the Google Classroom that you can access. But again, when you're meeting with them, just infrequently kind of use this tool. I'm not saying you need to use a lesson plan tool to look at every single one of their lesson plans. Certainly not. That would be overwhelming. But every once in a while, as you're meeting, just say, hey, let's bring a lesson plan. And let's look at it, and let's talk about standard alignment. Let's look at standard alignment in terms of both content and in skills. Am I teaching it at the appropriate level, and am I assessing it at the appropriate level? Do I have this big idea, this aha, this theme, whether it's change or whether it's transformation or whether it's tolerance? Depending on what your content area is, that enduring question could be a lot of different things. But how do we crouch this specific standard in something larger for the kid? Why does the kid care about this lesson beyond just today in your class? And then the last 2 bullets are tied to the objective. So that again emphasizes the importance of an objective. Is it there? Does it have the specific behaviors that students will do? The specific conditions? And then also, does it have a measurable component? Okay. And again, in our September, at the end of September with the new hires, we are going to be looking at lesson plans and looking at objectives, so they'll get some reinforcement there. But just to continue to have that conversation. Yes, we talked about it in September, but we don't want to just let that conversation end. You need to keep kind of doing spot checks and talking about lesson plans throughout the year. As you prepare for your observation, I know some of you have maybe already gotten into your new hires classroom, and that is fantastic. Again, if you're at all possible, I would encourage you to get in again before the semester is over, just to again provide as much data as possible. Pre-observation conference is great to have if you can. I know that time is always of the essence, and so you may have to cut this just out of necessity. But if you can, it's great for obviously the reasons that are listed there. But also it just really lets them think about what is the purpose of their lesson. Is it aligned? It helps you to know what do they want you to look for. When you come in and collect data during the observation, you're not there to evaluate them like an administrator would be. And so maybe they want you to do a specific child watch one student while they're in there. Or maybe they want you to collect data on their transitions or classroom management or their physical movement around the classroom, a variety of things. And so that meeting can kind of just help you to know what you should focus on while there. In Google Classroom is a copy of these questions. It may be helpful for you to refer to these in that pre-conference meeting that you have with your new hire to just kind of guide the discussion, to think about, how does this lesson fit into a larger picture? What came before this lesson? What's going to come after this lesson? What data are you going to collect during this lesson? How are you going to use that to inform future instruction? And again, you may want to focus on 1 or 2 of these questions more so than others based on what you know your mentee needs. What are areas that they have identified themselves as an area of growth, and kind of let that guide what you're going to focus on. If a lesson alignment is kind of a red flag for you and your new hire, then you may want to focus on that. It may be on resources. It may be on differentiation. It really depends on where they are and what their needs are. But again, these questions are in the Google Classroom, and you can refer to them as needed. We've talked about the performance standards again. When we think about when the administrator does come in, these are the standards that they will be kind of assessed through these lenses. And so you again have access to this in Google Classroom. When you go in to observe, you may want to use this document and just script on this document. What do you see in terms of professional knowledge? What do you see in terms of instructional planning? What do you see in terms of the learning environment? those sort of things. So you may want to use this tool to guide your conversation. You may not. It's just there if it is helpful. If it's not helpful, then please don't use it. Even when you don't go and observe a lesson, you may want to just use this tool during one of your weekly sessions with your new hire and just talk about, let's reflect on a lesson. Let's think about your lesson you taught on Tuesday. And let's kind of go through and fill this out. What would I have seen if I had been there? And just kind of let them talk through it, because it really can kind of help you realize what gaps are there as they reflect on their own lesson and discuss their own lesson. Also in the Google Classroom is a tool called Providing Valuable Feedback, and it just helps us remember that we want to make sure that we describe, that we don't evaluate. We want to note the impact of teacher behavior on students. We want to make sure that what we're collecting is tied to their goal that they have. We want to also, of course, make sure that we recognize their strengths. We want to be specific. You don't want to collect all this data that's full of generalities and doesn't say anything concrete that the teacher can pull from. So again, that handout called Providing Valuable Feedback is in the Google Classroom for you to refer to when working with your new hires. The School Lesson Observation tool is also in the Google Classroom. You may want to reference this document when you are conducting an observation. You may not. You may just want to use this as a talking point during one of your meetings, because these are the things that an administrator will be looking for when they come into the classroom. They may not be using this exact tool from the state, but they're going to be looking for standard alignment. They're going to be looking for assessment strategies. They're going to be looking for the way that different student needs are met in the classroom and through the classroom instruction. And so please don't get overwhelmed by the different observation tools that I have, that are in the handbook and that I've put on Google Classroom. You are not expected to use all of these by no means. That'll overwhelm you and them. Pick which ones you think are the most user-friendly to you or the most user-friendly to your new hire. You may not use all of them while you're actually doing an observation. Some of them may just be talking points to help get them ready for an administrator's observation, or to help you all debrief after you go in, or even after they come in to see you. Remember, you want your new hire to come see you, hopefully before you even to go see them, so that way they'll have that comfort level of the fact that these observations between you and your new hire are just for peers to provide feedback, so that we can all grow, because there are areas that we can all do better, we can all improve upon. So again, this is just a tool that you can reference. You do not have to use it if it's not helpful to you. In the Google Classroom, there's also a tool called Ways to Gather Information During Classroom Observations. And there, you can again track how often an event counts. Perhaps students go to the bathroom 15 times during a 10-minute lesson. Perhaps duration. Maybe the warm-up takes 19 minutes to complete and it was 2 questions. And it was just because of, classroom mismanagement that it took that long. And so you may want to record how long things take. You may want to script verbatim. And so that's what this tool is. And this is in the classroom. Again, you don't have to use this tool, but it's very helpful oftentimes when we're in classrooms to just kind of script. What time does something happen? You would record that under the time. And was it something the teacher said? Was it something the student said or did? And then that way, truly, it is just you collecting data. And then when you show this tool to your new hire after the observation, they get to draw their own conclusions. They get to think about, okay, what was my wait time? Was there really equity of voice? I thought we were having this very rich, dynamic, whole group class discussion, and only 4 kids spoke the entire class, that sort of thing. So again, lots of different tools to guide your observations, but you certainly do not have to use all of them. Use the ones that work for you. So in our next video, we're going to quickly look at the benefits of effective feedback, and then also talk about the different language that we want to use in our observations. So that will be in our second video.